Hi, I'm Angie, and one of my favorite ice creams is coming from Frankie Jo's. They're based in Seattle and are a small vegan ice cream business here in Seattle. And one of their, what I find really best flavors is called, I think, a miso cookie. They rotate their flavors, so yeah, right now you can't get it, but it is really good. So I know that miso is also working great in sweet stuff. So why not trying it out in a chocolate bonbon? But I think miso, because it is really salty and... Wait, maybe should I explain what miso is? I think that would make sense. Okay, let's explain what miso is. So miso is a, I think, Japanese seasoning, and it is made out of fermented soybeans. So it is really salty and savory, and as already mentioned, it is really good in sweet stuff as well. Okay, so we're using miso today, and I also really want to use Earl Grey. I've seen a recipe, like it was for I think a cake, like a miso Earl Grey cake, and so I thought maybe we can give it a try for our chocolate bonbons. Yeah, right now this is all in my head, like the recipe is all in my head, and I don't know if it really works out, because we have a couple of really strong flavors: chocolate, Earl Grey, miso, and they can collide and crash together, and it will taste like nothing. And one thing I should definitely mention: first I thought I'd just make a ganache, a classic ganache, and yeah, infuse the cream or the coconut cream or whatever I'm using with Earl Grey. You can do that with just letting it steep for about 15 minutes, and then you're good to go and add some miso. But I thought, I don't really want to make a ganache. Let's do something more fancy. Let's make an almond praline, add the Earl Grey, more like a spice than anything else, and then add some miso. Okay, so we do that. We make an almond praline, and then we add some Earl Grey and miso. Cool. It does make me nervous, I have to say, but it's going to be good. Let's do this. We can make it work, I think. First, we start roasting our almonds. I roast them for, I want to say 5 to 10 minutes, or until they smell really good and get a little bit of color. And I'm using a non-sticky pan here. If you use already roasted almonds, this will work as well, but just the flavor is a little bit better if you roast them fresh. Now I set them aside, and we start making our caramel. Here I have 1 tablespoon of the glucose syrup, and I'm adding 150 grams of sugar. And now I'm just waiting until everything has dissolved and our caramel is cooking. We are almost there, but not quite. Once our caramel is done, I will transfer it over to a silicone mat and just allow it to cool down. Okay. This is looking good. Here's my caramel, but I set it aside for a bit just to cool it down. And here are my almonds. So I will grind them down in my grinder. And I'm adding 1 tablespoon of almond oil, just to make the life of my grinder a little bit easier. And so first we make basically a paste, an almond paste. And here we are. That's how our almond paste or almond butter looks right now. And now I'm adding 150 grams of chocolate. So I've already melted it. And yeah, I'm using chocolate from older projects. That's why you see some colors in there. So yeah, I'm just adding the chocolate into the butter. Give it another run. Here is our almond butter with chocolate. And now I am going to cut down the caramel. It is cool enough that I can just pick it up and cut it down into smaller pieces. The reason why I want to cut down the caramel is because I want to make it easier for my blender. And watch out. There can be really sharp edges when you cut them down. Last time I was making caramel and cut it down, I cut myself, and it was not pretty, I can tell you that. So watch out with all of these really sharp edges. Oh, and all of this is going into my blender, and then we will mix in the caramel. here comes the interesting part. Now we're adding the Earl Grey, and I'm starting with 1 tablespoon of Earl Grey. Mix it in, and then we give it a try and maybe add more. And I hope it's not too much. All right, I just gave it a try. We give it 2 more tablespoons because I can't taste anything. So let's do 2 more. And now what I'm going to do, now here finally comes the miso part. I will set 50% aside now to pipe in later. And with the other 50%, I will add 1 teaspoon of miso. Finally, the miso comes in. I just added another teaspoon of miso because you can really taste it, but I just want it to be a little bit more salty, and then I'm happy with it. But as you can see, it is not super smooth anymore. So I will also add a couple of drops of soy lecithin because I think that miso has too much water. Well, also ingredients, friends. I should read my stuff, but I haven't checked it honestly. But here, main ingredients. Wait, where is it? Here. Main ingredients, water. No. Well, let's see if we can make it work if I add a couple of drops of soy lecithin. Otherwise, well, then I'll just stick to the Earl Grey. Okay, this is what happens if you feel fancy and hip. If you think, oh, miso, it's so good, you should put it into chocolate. Yeah, that's what happens. So this is more good than anything else. I will still totally use it, but I would never make it again just because, I mean, the consistency is all off, so yeah. Because this one here is without the miso. That's how it's supposed to look like. Well, yeah, this one we can pipe, and this one we form balls and then put it into our chocolate. Not going to waste. It is really good, but yeah, well, things happen. And here we go. I have prepared my mold. I have a couple of hearts with like orange and yellow colors, and I used a sponge. I have a video about how to use sponges and what kind of sponges I'm using when I'm doing this technique, so I have it down in the description below. And I also have a couple of blue hearts, and those I will fill with only the Earl Grey filling and pipe it in. Yeah, we just pipe in our filling once it's cooled down to below 35 degrees Celsius. And yeah, then we finish up our bonbons and give them a try. Okay, let's start with the miso ones. Let's see, I have 3 rows, I think. Yeah, 3 rows. So those 9 are with, oh my god, it doesn't feel right between my hands. But yeah, I don't know. It's even worse than I thought it would be. Because I can't even form a ball or something. Well, it's really crumbly. Well, I'm still putting it in. It's not pretty what I'm doing here. I know that. But I really do not want to throw it away. Someone is going to eat that. You know what bugs me most about this? It's that I was so sure it's going to be awesome. And I didn't even check what's the main ingredients in miso paste. If I had checked the ingredients list before, I totally would have seen that water is the very first ingredient. Okay, that's the better part. At least this one here I can pipe in. Alright, here we go. Yeah, they're all out. Alright, so those are the miso ones, and those is only with the Earl Grey. Well, let's cut them open first, and then we give them a try. if I want to do it. The texture doesn't bother me too much. It is not perfect, but I thought it would be really, really weird. And the miso is really nice because it's so nice and salty. But you know what? If you want it salty, honestly, just go without the miso in your recipe and just add a little bit of salt in your Earl Grey. I think that way makes way more sense and is way easier. Okay, let's try this one that is only with the Earl Grey. I think this is really nice. This is a really, really nice filling. Be careful with the Earl Grey that you're not overdoing it. But yeah, the favorite is definitely without the miso. And here we are, end of this video. And I have to say, I love the miso in this. I mean, you've seen the texture is all wrong, so I'm not going to make this anymore. But I think I will try out a ganache with the miso, and I think this will be really, really good. I hope. Maybe another video. We'll see. And yeah, so the clear winner is definitely the Earl Grey only. Yeah, and that's all from me. If you have questions, you can leave them down in the description below. Send me a DM on Instagram at @chocolatespiel. And